So when you have selected your color harmony, you want to get your illustration board, your colored pencils, grab your kneaded eraser, your regular soft gum eraser, and a scrap of paper. It can be that newsprint that came in your kit, or just rip out a piece from your sketchbook, a clean sheet of paper, because as you're coloring, you don't want to smudge other areas of your composition. So again, here we are talking about color. I have my color wheel here as a reference in helping me decide what color scheme I want to explore. So usually, like, my favorite colors are sort of in the purples and the blues. So maybe I would do an analogous color scheme and go from like a blue-green to a violet, like sort of like peacock colors. I guess there's more peacock colors, but whatever. So pick the colors that make you happy, okay? So keep that, handy. Maybe jot down in the corner with pencil what colors you're using. And then as you guys are working, things to keep in mind, we're gonna follow the rule of whatever color harmony we've picked. However, we also want to explore different values within that color harmony. Okay, so different colors read as different values. Like a dark purple can read as like a really dark color, but you can also get really light with that purple. And then if you did like a complementary color scheme and you had yellow in there, and that would also read as a light value. So we want a range of values as well as tints and tones and shades, but we also want to have contrast. Okay, by having that range of value, we are easily able to create contrast between certain areas. So like an image like this, we see a lot of contrast between the white and the black, or between complementary colors. So we want to see a contrast in our shapes so that each shape stands out and it creates rhythm and movement and pattern, okay? So when you are ready to start coloring, okay, make sure your colored pencils are nice and sharp. Because we do have, like this is called mahogany and this is called red, and they look visually, just looking at them, pretty similar. But let's say you start using the red and then you accidentally pick up the mahogany and then you're like, yikes, that's not the same color, right? So sometimes what I would recommend is on that slip sheet is write down what color are you using. I'm using red, okay? It tells you the name of the color on the side of the colored pencil. Other brands of colored pencils might have numbers. If we were in the classroom, we would have the Prismacolors. Those have specific numbers associated with the color. So you might want to just keep that in mind. I'm going to pull out the colors I'm going to use today, and I'm going to stick with an analogous color scheme. I'm going to go with blues to purples. What else can I use? You want to make sure you're following the rule of your color scheme, right? So I can use black. I can use white. I can use, where's my gray? Gray, right? So those are my neutrals. Here is a dark blue. And I think that's it for me. All right. Now, when you start to color, we want to make sure that every area that we color has a gradient of some kind. Okay, so let's say I'm going to start right in the center there, and I'm going to start with my little zigzags here. So we want to do nice light layers. We want to move our colored pencil around so that we're not creating pencil streaks. So I'm going to color those all in, like with a base layer of this, what color is this? Aqua color, okay. And because of the really lovely texture of the illustration board, it's really nice and easy to color in and not get pencil strokes. And keep in mind, we do not want to burnish, so we're not pressing too hard at first. Light pencil pressure. And we want to move our pencil around in different directions, building up light layers so that we don't see pencil strokes, okay? Now that's one flat color, right? Kind of boring. A couple things I could do. I could add in a black and create shadows there. I could add in another layer of color and develop that color a little bit further on maybe just one side of it. So maybe like the outside edge, I'll make that a little bit darker. Okay, so every area you color, you want to see a little variety. you know, something tiny like these little circles here, maybe you don't need to see variety in there, but within the larger shapes, you want to see some gradients happening. I want to see that you know how to use the colored pencils to build up values and to blend colors. So I'm just adding on another layer of color just on the outside edge of my mandala design here on this little section. And again, I'm not pressing too hard, because if I press too hard, I'm going to end up burnishing the surface, which means it makes it really difficult to add in another layer of color. Now I could decide, okay, I really like that, or maybe no, I need to add a little bit more contrast. Maybe I'll take some blue and go in again at the just the outside edge there and see how that looks. Okay. So let's see if I don't really have too many large areas in my composition, but I'm going to take this light blue. I'm going to go into the center part. I want to take my time. Again, light pressure, because I don't want to burnish and I don't want to see pencil strokes. So you want to color nice and neat. You want to stay in the lines. And fill in this whole area. And then again, decide, where do you want it to be darker? Or do you want it to go from blue to a different color altogether? So maybe here, I'm going to make this a little bit darker of a blue, like a little bit more saturated with this particular colored pencil. And then I'm going to pick up a whole different colored pencil. I'm going to pick up this purple, and in the corners here, add in a little layer of purple. So it's a different color. So I'm going from purple to blue. So it's all about layering. It's all about blending and taking your time. And you want to make sure that you get nice, rich, saturated colors, okay? So coloring like this. Okay, I'm done. No, you're not. Coloring like this. Nope, you're pressing too hard. Okay, so again, it's just nice, even strokes, light layers, and blending those layers and building up those layers until you get to the value you want. Can you burnish? Eventually, yes, you can. Once you're at that finished stage and you have most of your mandala colored in and you realize, like, you know what, I really want those hearts in the center to be like really dark and really smooth, then at that point you can burnish. But don't start off by burnishing, okay? So I would take a minute and plan out your design, what colors are going where, or at least have a plan for your major shapes of your design, and build up those light layers of color. Each section should go from one color to a different color or to a different value of the same color. So it can go from light to dark, or it could go from, you know, blue to purple, or whatever colors you're choosing to use, okay? The colors that you use should match in with a specific color harmony. It should not just be random colors randomly splattered onto your mandala. There should be a plan. There should be a rule that it follows, a color harmony definition that it follows. It should not be rainbow, okay? And then we want to also, you know, create a pattern. So like what I'm doing here with the purple to the light blue, I might want to do that somewhere else and recreate that pattern in other areas, okay? So have fun with this. Practice in your sketchbook first, or practice on the scrap of illustration board that you have to test out colors, or to test out blending, or to test out layering, or how much pressure you need to apply to make sure that you get a nice, even, smooth application of color, okay? Get my purple back out and add in those shadows here. And that is a brief overview of how to color in your mandala, a little bit of a refresher on the things that we learned last marking period with how to use the colored pencils. So if you're having any issues or difficulty, I would refer back to those tutorial videos and or reach out with any questions that you may have, okay? So this is where this really should be meditative, because you're just kind of coloring in, and then this should be just a lot of fun to add in all that color, and you're gonna really make your design come alive and be bright and exciting and not just a line drawing at this point, okay? So have fun. I can't wait to see your finished designs. Happy coloring!